I'm here today with Scott Wyatt. Scott is the president of Busch Protective USA, which is a division of Busch Protective Germany. Busch primarily manufactures ballistic and non-ballistic helmet systems and accessories. So, hi Scott, thanks for taking some time with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about Busch and how you became involved with them?
Sure. Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mark. So the Busch family has been making military, law enforcement, and first responder helmets and protective equipment for over 40 years. Edwin Busch's father started the company back in the 70s, primarily as a military ballistic helmet manufacturer. And then several years ago, the Busch family started Busch Protective, which was focused exclusively on law enforcement helmets. And that's the market that we've essentially opened up and are expanding within the United States.
Okay, thanks. Interesting history there. Can you give us an overview of the helmets and the accessories that Busch manufactures?
Sure, absolutely. So we have a full line of helmets that range from impact bump helmets up to what would be the traditional NIJ 3A that the U.S. market is accustomed to, and all the way up to a VPAM level 3. And VPAM level 3 is essentially the gold standard of ballistics, primarily in Western Europe, exclusively with special units in Austria, Switzerland, Germany, and France.
Okay, interesting. And you have accessories such as face shields and mounts and all that stuff, which we'll get into a bit later, I guess, eh?
Yeah, so I think what makes Busch really a good choice for customers, really what makes us stand out really is protection one, modularity two, and then lastly logistics. And with the modularity component, we've designed and built our helmets to be able to take a wide range of accessories, everything from ballistic impact visors. We have a Speed Connect rail system that works on the side of the helmet. In fact, I've got a sample here I can show you.
Yeah, sure.
So all of our helmets, this is our bump impact helmet. All of our helmets come already with the rail system included. The one nice unique thing about our rails are that they have a Speed Connect system. So right here in the front of the helmet, you can actually connect a visor or mandible, additional accessories, and you don't give up real estate. For example, we have the ability to use the Peltor adapter on the helmet to get those comms off your ears. All of our helmets have the modularity of coming with and without NVG shrouds. We have several brands of NVG shrouds. This one specifically is the Wilcox. We have field-mounted helmet covers that have the ability to come on and off in the field without being able to, you don't have to open up the inside equipment. All of our helmets also come with a one-size-fits-all wheel dial system that allows the user everywhere from an extra small to an extra large head size to be able to use the same size helmet. So that's really convenient in the field. And some of the other accessories that you'll see are things such as counterweight kits, Picatinny rail adapters. I think I mentioned different levels of ballistics on the visors. So we really try to create a complete protective head system, not just a helmet.
Okay, great. That helps. Thanks. So you mentioned earlier VPAM. So can you kind of give us an overview? VPAM is pretty new to, I think, the North American market. Maybe you could explain what it is and how it relates to helmets and why people should be interested in it.
Absolutely. So if you, and this might take a second, so let me go back a bit.
Sure.
If you look at traditionally, helmets for law enforcement worldwide, they were created because they were military helmets. So every helmet manufacturer in the world was a military helmet supplier creating helmets that were essentially meant to be worn long-term in the field, protected against high-velocity fragmentation, but not necessarily bullets. I know it's kind of counterintuitive. You would think most body armor, you're trying to stop bullets. But in the military, you're really worried about explosions, IEDs, and actually secondary fragmentation that could potentially enter the head from a nearby explosion. With Busch Protective, what we did is we decided to build a helmet that focused on stopping bullets as well as fragmentation, but real-world encounters that law enforcement, public safety, first responders would encounter in today's society. So if you look at VPAM, VPAM is the next level. So essentially what happened was 40 years ago, you had all of these military helmet suppliers who said, hey, let's say helmets to law enforcement because they need them as well. They're getting shot at. Now, helmets have done a really good job of stopping some rounds in the field throughout the world. However, those helmets were really just designed to stop the bullet, but they didn't take into account the transfer of energy into the head. And that's really what the VPAM standard is about. It's about taking the NIJ 3A standard and taking it one step further. So let me talk about the NIJ 3A standard. There is no certification for ballistic helmets according to the NIJ being the National Institute of Justice. That's the most common, most widely accepted level in the field. The difference is that the NIJ, essentially what helmet manufacturers have done, and Busch included back in the day, is we took the level 3A bullets, which were a 9mm reference round, and a 44 Magnum round. Those are the two rounds that are used on the NIJ 3A soft body armor standard. And helmet manufacturers took those and shot those against the helmet. And if the bullet stopped, if there was no penetration, then they would say, okay, it's been tested to the NIJ 3A and it passed. The problem with that is that bullet might transfer 80, 90, 100 joules of energy into the head and still not penetrate through the actual aramid fibers. So what the VPAM standard did was the VPAM standard said, not only do you have to stop those bullets, but you have to stop those bullets and limit the amount of energy transfer that goes into the head. And that can be measured by this actual certification, and it is certified through the Melekstadt. Is basically says the bullet has to stop. It can't pass further than a certain distance beyond into a medium, whether it's gel or clay. You also measure the amount of joules of energy that are transferred into the head. And I mentioned that traditional NIJ 3A helmets have about 80 to 90 joules. The VPAM standard, maybe a visual representation of that I can show you. So I have a clay head form. This is a clay head form that was actually used in the testing of helmets. Mm-hmm. If you look at this indentation here, this indentation was done using a traditional 3A helmet that was produced in the United States, acquired commercially off the shelf, and that was shot with a 9mm round. You can see the trauma. Yeah, I mean, you can see the trauma that's done on the back face deformation. This is on the inside of the helmet.
Right.
Now, it's hard to see the depth of cavity, but if you look at the comparison, I'm going to hold this on this side. This is actually the dent based on from our VPAM rated level 3 VPAM helmet.
Wow. Same round, same 9mm round.
Same exact round, same barrel, same velocity. This is about 1,400 feet per second.
Yeah.
But clearly you can see the amount of trauma that is not transferred into the head by using a different technology. Now, there are applications clearly for a lightweight helmet, for some of the traditional 3A helmet. But if you're going to be having a helmet in the field for a 12 to 14 hour ruck through the fields, weight is very important, and especially the military is worried about having as light a weight a helmet as possible. Mm-hmm. Those lightweight helmets are also really good at fragmentation protection, but they're just not meant to stop small caliber handgun rounds like 9mm, 40, 45s, 44 Magnums. They'll stop the bullet, but it might be 3 inches into the cranial cavity. Now, in soft body armor, the standard is 44 millimeters, so that's about 1 3/4 inches. A bullet can push the armor into your chest cavity, into the soft tissue of your body, into the soft tissue of my belly here, a little bit further. 1 3/4 inches, that's no problem. You'll have some bruising. You're going to have some, you're going to have some impact. You might fall down, but you're going to survive that. But imagine that round pushing 1 3/4 inches into your cranial cavity. You're clearly going to have some traumatic brain injury. That officer is most likely going to be out of the fight, not going to be able to remain potentially conscious and aware of what's going on, and ultimately that's going to limit the survivability.
Yeah, so it's the back face deformation and the energy transferred to the head. So essentially, what, if I'm understanding you correctly, the NIJ 0101.06 round, or standard, I'm sorry, is designed for soft body armor, but manufacturers have just adapted it to helmets, but it's not really designed for that. Is that
Yeah,
fair
I
to
mean,
say?
that's exactly right. There was no standard put out by the NIJ for helmets. And so every helmet manufacturer said, well, we're going to do the best that we can. We're going to take the 3A rounds. We're going to shoot them on the helmets. And if they stop, great. Then they stopped through penetration, but they're not taking into account the back face deformation. So not only did VPAM do that, but you're also starting to see, especially the U.S. Federal Department of Justice is starting to take into account traumatic brain injury. Clearly, with all the soldiers and those being impacted by TBI worldwide through all the operations that they have going on, they're taking into account now that back face deformation, what it's doing to the officer, and how it's having that impact. So I expect to see a potential change or actually an establishment of a certification. But for now, it is essentially just a testing process. You're right.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. That helps. So that's really the big difference with Busch and helmets and the standard helmets that everybody is used to these days is the VPAM versus the NIJ.
Sure.
But
now there is some additional testing that is done on VPAM that is not done on the NIJ. So, for example, the NIJ current testing standard that most helmet manufacturers apply to simply takes into account penetration. Essentially, what they're doing is they'll take an existing helmet shell and they'll shoot it 5 times. Once on the front, once on the back, once on each side, and one on the crown. But those bullets are also placed 2 to 3 inches from the edge in the area that generally has the most coverage and surface area. So they're relatively easy to stop. What the VPAM does, the VPAM mandates that not only do you have to test it randomly anywhere throughout the helmet shell, so the manufacturer doesn't know where it's going to be shot. So you have to build a helmet that's going to perform on 100% of the surface area. You have to take into account that back face deformation of the energy transfer. You also shoot on the bolts. So a bolt can cause a secondary fragmentation if you haven't engineered it correctly to stay connected on the inside. So they shoot it on the bolts. In fact, if there are 7 bolts on the helmet, 4 for them, and verify that there can be no secondary fragmentation. So they're checking the energy. They're also shooting it up to 28 times. So the difference is you've got about 25 random shots, and this is on the same helmets. In fact, I think you might have a video or a picture of a helmet that was shot in excess of, I think, 24 or 25 times. If you can throw that up on the screen, that'd be great.
Just did.
And our helmets are also maintaining their shape and their integrity after having been shot.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a huge difference compared to the NIJ, just shooting a few rounds there. So are there any downsides to a VPAM? Sorry, I don't know if you heard me on that one.
It's not necessarily the product for. No, I think you asked if there was any disadvantage to VPAM. Yeah. So with additional protection does come additional weight. To give you an idea, today's lightweight military helmets, which are traditionally comprised of polyethylene, those come in about 2.4 pounds for a helmet. The traditional aramid helmet, NIJ 3A, if you will, are about 3.2 pounds. Our VPAM rated AMP1TP is about 3.5 pounds. So you're looking at about a 10% weight increase. But I would argue that 10% is worth the value of your brain and the ability for the officer to stay in the fight. The protection level, it's simply worth it. Now, these are really for law enforcement applications. Again, if a soldier in the field might be wearing that helmet for 14, 16, 18 hours, well, then you've got to take into account where having a lighter weight helmet with a little bit less protection may be a better solution for that individual. But for law enforcement applications where most operations are going to take less than an hour or two, having an extra 4 or 5 ounces on the head is a minimal price to pay.
Yeah, agreed. cost difference?
I would say you're looking at about, and one thing is, with our helmets, we also include all of the upgraded features that most of the other manufacturers upsell. We include these at no charge. So, for example, we include rails at no charge with all of our helmets. We include our wheel dial adjustment harness that it has the ability to size all different individuals. We have an upgraded memory foam pad system, and we also include a padded carry bag with every AMP1 TP helmet. So when you factor all of those in, you're looking at about a 20 to 25% price increase over our competitors' traditional 3A helmets. Again, each department would have to decide whether that's worth it for them. But if it's my money, I'm definitely going for the VPAM rated AMP1 TP.
And you have NIJ rated helmets as well. But I mean, we're really here today to discuss the VPAM and kind of let people know what that's all about. So
we do. We actually manufacture. So we have 3 different levels of helmets. We have and I've got a couple samples here I can show you.
Yeah, sure.
So let's see here. This is our AMH2. This is our bump helmet. It's an orange, safety orange, which seems to be all the rage these days, especially with first responders, search and rescue. So, and mind you, all of our helmets are modular, so we can combine any color, any accessory, any component, and they're all built per order. That's one of our benefits of having our new facility in California. Every helmet is built per order, but it's also delivered within 10 days because we've got all the components. So this is our AMH2 bump helmet. This is for bump, impact, vehicle operations. It's a really good sister training helmet to the ballistics.
Right.
All of our helmets also include all the same exact components. So this helmet here still has the same wheel dial that the ballistic helmets do as well. Same pad system, same rails. So you can train and operate in the exact same way, but perhaps with a lighter training helmet. So this is our AMH2. We also have a AMP 1E, which is our traditional ballistic helmet as well. This is more along the lines of an NIJ 3A plus. We do test it for the NIJ 3A rounds. However, we've seen the performance is about twice as good as most traditional NIJ 3As on the U.S. market. This actually has one of our impact visors. You can see how this helmet it is attached using the Speed Connect system. So if you don't mind me looking like a schmuck here, I'm going to put this on. I'm going to harness this in real quick. And then what you can do is, the nice thing about this is not only do you still have the rails, but you can lift this up, and then you can take, as I'm not doing it correctly because I'm not looking.
I didn't prep you for that part, Scott. I'm sorry. You did great.
That's all right. We can cut it and go back to right here. So what you can do is you can take the visor. You can be wearing the helmet in the field. The visor can actually be sitting on your belt in a pouch. And then should an officer need to don it in the field, they can simply go up, put it in, and click it in, which I'm not really good at because I haven't practiced, so I'm not going to do that.
That's probably not sized to you either right yet.
Yeah.
Thanks. I think there's some good videos, some really quick 30-second videos on that we can probably link to regarding the Speed Connect system that shows it, with a lot of clarity as well there. So that's great.
Okay, sure. And then the last helmet I was going to tell you about was our AMP1 TP. This is a version that has been hydro dipped with a black multicam. Doesn't have an NVG shroud. This is in a high cut configuration. We do have all of our helmets come in a high cut, a mid cut, and a full cut. We also offer them in every color you can imagine, as well as multicam black, gray, Ranger green, black, and then all of the accessories are going to match as well.
So other than the hydro dip there, that helmet is essentially how it comes normally, right? Like with the rails on the side, the dial adjust, the pads on the inside, everything. That's the kind of the base helmet. And then if we wanted the night vision goggle mount on the front, that would be an option. We just order with the helmet, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, so the rails all come included at no charge. These are our proprietary rails, but they work with all of the traditional Picatinny rail systems that you would encounter in the market. Right. We also have helmet shrouds, Velcro kits. We do have this is a counterweight that would fit in the back of the helmet. Yep. Whether or not it's using a shroud. We do have the Picatinny rail, the Peltor adapters on here that allows the ears to go up and down. So yeah, this is as it comes with the pad system. The pads are removable, they're washable. The wheel dial is adjustable. Each of the harnesses does have a hot swap feature, so where you can actually remove the harness. The nice thing about a lot of these helmets is many departments, because it is a one-size-fits-all solution, they'll actually put a helmet in a vehicle, or let's say put two helmets in a vehicle, and then it does allow for harnesses to be able to be removed, cleaned if they needed. Each officer can have their own harness that they attach at the beginning of a shift. But yeah, that basically, because you have a one-size-fits-all solution, you can put this in any vehicle, fire trucks, EMT, EMS, first responder vehicles. It can be in a bag, and then it can be quickly adjusted, put on, and donned by any officer, no matter their size.
Yeah, that's important. We get a number of questions about departments that want to put first responder kit or an active shooter kit in the trunk of a police car, but they don't know how to do the helmets, because with most manufacturers, they have 3 different sizes or more. And how do you do that? So we've had good success with the sizing that Busch does, because it fits pretty much everybody in the department. You just with that wheel dial is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And I have to tell you, in the so I was the vice president of sales with Armor Express, as you know, for 5 years. And that's where I first actually met Busch and was working with them. And when I found out about their technology, one of the things they told me about was this one-size-fits-all solution. And I was a bit hesitant, because I knew that all helmets before were sized. What I didn't know was that they were sized for the military, because the military mandates by contract that they have a small, medium, large, and extra large. So what Busch does is Busch uses the larger shell and then adjusts the harness back and forth. In the 3 to 4 years that I've been working with Busch, previously with Armor Express, and then now as the president of North American operations, I have never had an individual in any department, anywhere, not be able to be sized by our helmet. Wow. And that's pretty remarkable. Now, we do actually have it, believe it or not, we have a 2XL shell that's even larger, but we've never had to issue it to anybody, because it just, everybody can be accommodated by the standard. So yeah. I have to give Edwin Busch credit. He's the primary engineer and brains behind the entire protection system, and he did a fabulous job creating this.
Yeah, it makes a big difference to the logistics of issuing helmets as well, and just maintaining them too. So
sure.
Occasionally we get customers asking for more than handgun protection in the helmets. Any options for that with the Busch line? Like if we wanted rifle protection or something?
Yeah, actually we do. So while we have done some testing on the actual VPAM helmets with rifle rounds, and we found that traditionally ball rounds, like an M80 ball and a SS-109, at a glancing angle, oftentimes the helmet will defeat a rifle round. It's not designed to stop a rifle round by itself. However, we do actually have a pretty unique feature. This is our cap plate. This is actually a polyethylene lightweight plate that actually, using Velcro, hooks on directly to the front of the helmet and does offer AK-47 protection in the field. The nice thing about it is you could actually take Velcro on here. You've got Velcro on the helmet. Let's say an officer has this in the field, decides that there's a rifle threat. They can pull this out of their system, Velcro it on, and it only adds about a pound of extra weight. And it does give you full frontal protection right there, all the way up to M80 ball. And then if you, I don't have one with me, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't have one here with me, but we also do have a VPAM 3 rated visor as well that will stop both the 9mm and the 44mm shots directly. There are some versions that will stop an M80 ball or an AK-47 7.62 by 39. There's a little extra weight, and it's just it's a bit too much to handle right now, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's valuable for some of the teams that are high risk entry with rifles and things. So, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. I know we had scripted some of this, so thanks, and some of it I kind of went off script. So thanks for adapting that. Is there anything else that I missed that you want to just note real quick? Absolutely. Or sorry, I missed that, Scott.
No. I think it's great. I think what's important in creating the Busch Protective North American division, what we wanted to focus on really was protection 1, modularity 2, and logistics and the ability to deliver quickly 3. So we've built our entire organization to be able to have several $1 million worth of components on the shelf. We take orders by partnering with Armor Express, our OEM distributor, and essentially any configuration. I believe there are about 11,500 different configurations that could be ordered. It doesn't matter the cut, the color, with or without an NVG shroud, or the accessories. We basically build those helmets per order here in the United States. We assemble them and we ship them out. Our average delivery time right now is less than 10 days, and we hope that it's going to get even better. So I think being able to support those that are protecting us in North America quickly is kind of a game changer, because a lot of people are sometimes used to waiting 4 or 5 months. Not only do we want to make sure the officers are protected in the field, but I think it helps with our distribution partners as well to be able to know that we have the available inventory that we can build and kit rapidly. So it's been a great process in getting this set up in the U.S. We're very excited. We've got a lot of teams that are now using our products, and the reviews are incredible. And we're just really excited and humbled to be working with the departments that we do.
Great. So lastly, before I let you go, if somebody wants more information or they want to order these, they're available through Armor Express dealers. Is that correct? That's it?
That's correct. Yeah. So we have partnered with Armor Express as our OEM distribution partner. They have a fabulous dealer network in both the U.S. and Canada. So if anybody's interested, they can get product information off our website, which is www.bushprousa.com, or they can visit armorexpress.com and find a local dealer distributor that can come out and give them a presentation and can show them the products.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Scott. I really appreciate your time. It's invaluable information and really well laid out. And I want to thank the people that have watched this video as well and hung with this, because I know it was long and detailed, but hopefully it'll be worth it and you found it educational. So, Scott, thank you again. It was great to see you again, and I'm glad you're doing well, and thanks for your time and all your expertise on this.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it, and thanks for the great work that you do on behalf of your customers.
Yeah. Hey, it's a great partnership. Talk to you soon, Scott. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.